Afternoon to everyone. Getting myself settled in here. Let's give a date and time. Date and time, May 12th, 12:42 p.m. Dancing time. I've already seen some big colonies and the girls are back from the field, so that tells me, of course, there's tons of nectar and pollen and resources. So, what we're doing today is another walk around, checking catch boxes. This is heavy swarm time, and I get, I'm trying to think how to describe this. I get more sensitive to bee travel, more sensitive to bee, and you will grow and change too. I'm more sensitive to bee travel than I am actual inspections and da-da-da-da. You can hear before long we'll be doing some serious inspections. But right now it's about catching the travel. So we're going to rescent with Swarm Commander, but this time I'm just going to do a couple of squirts, just a couple of squirts on the porch. God darn it. And I see over here a big dig spot. And I have something under my tin. Great. Could be a skunk. When you live rural, particularly rural, skunks are going to be your number one issue. They'll come sit on the porch of the hive like a cat, you know, the cat family. Sit on the porch of the hive and slap down bees. Okay, next one. No bees there. On the tripod today. It's very nice out. Light wind, 61, wet, like perfect bee time. Well, I can't see what are you doing, Kendall? Oops. Showing you what I do. It's kind of like catch while the catching's good. More catch boxes, not less. And you can, well, in my mind anyway, I can sell off what I don't want. I can also change the queen any swarms I catch. We'll see. I love the catching part. It's passive, it's fun, works your skills over, your observation skills. Okay, so there's a bee. I'm holding the Swarm Commander. I think this is funny. So there's Swarm Commander, 2-ounce bottle, about out. So I've ordered some more from Amazon. And you're holding it in your hand. Now, what do you think the bees are going to do? Hey, look at him. He smells like a queen. Inside, just on the porch. And get their attention. Trying to stretch it out. So I don't want to spray inside. Taking my time. Look around, you know, keep your head up, you know, like 6 to 8 foot level. Look around you. Because swarms come and hang up in the air. Now this has happened a lot, okay? So you're gonna think this guy's stupid. You'll be walking by a tree and you'll hear a buzz. And you go, what the heck? And you look and there's a swarm clustered on a tree. They're always vibrating. And typically, our ears will pick up that low hum before we actually visually see them, because they're so well camouflaged. I've had students in this very field, walk right past a cluster swarm, big swarm, 2 foot, they walk by them 2 foot away. Never saw them. Whoa. I caught him. I saw the student walk by. I said, hey, what are you doing? What? Look at your left shoulder. There's a big swarm right there. So you have to purpose to look, you know, on the tripod, whatever. Now we're out here today. It's 10 minutes to 12. And I try to purpose to come out about now, 1 to 2, 12:30 to 2, because it's very busy bee time. Apiary is typically quiet before noon. But if it's very, very busy, if it's unusually busy, you've got a swarming event or they're coming back with big reports of lots of nectar and pollen. I don't see any active action. Also too, this tree that's located right behind here, it wouldn't be very uncommon if there's a swarm that came in, kind of hung up here, waiting to go in. They don't always go straight in. They can, not always. Okay. Now watch this. My hands smell. It wouldn't surprise me if a swarm hits that. Be hanging down low. That's okay. There's something called the principle of width, or a lot doing a little. All these little nuke boxes. I could probably stand to do 6 more. Maybe more. They're easier for me to handle for small, and it's not, I'm not opposed to giant swarms. Probably the biggest I've ever caught is about 3 basketball sizes. That's pretty good, you know. If it's a small one, even if it's like softball size, I'll take it. If it's a little bitty one, baseball size or smaller, I'll let Mother Nature have some. It's kind of, I don't get so lathered up about it. My conviction hits me, and I end up catching the small ones too. Okay, 2 more. Nothing happening there now. If you're kind of tracking the days, I make the note on the film of the day that we filmed, so you can go look at the days. It was only, I want to say 4 or 5 days ago, and we're kind of doing this, setting this out. So it can happen pretty quick. We already have 1. In this group of 6. I think we've taken some other swarms in further up north by the house. Oh, let's see, man. I'm all about the principles. Once you understand the principles, then you can kind of turn it on, turn it off. Ooh. How much do you want? Whoa, sorry. Jeepers. Sorry. Take some Dramamine for that one. Golly jeepers. Time to mow, Pastor. Nope. That's all right. There's still swarms traveling. They kind of run in waves. You learn over time how to manage this. Okay, that's good enough. You learn how to manage different strategies and tweak it. Like I love catching. I love this. You can come back out here in about 30 or 40 years, Kendall will be 92. You'll still see him in his walker. I'll have a walker. He's still catching bees. Yeah, man. The bees, they gotta be caught. Now you gotta laugh. Beach just sitting in a chair, you know. Love it. You do as much as you can handle, as much as you think you can handle. Okay, that brings us to our active group. See if I can do this, if they'll let me. Hang tough. Hang tough. I swear. Right there. Takes. Oh, I already see. Now I'm looking at the porch. You can look with me. Just give me a minute to get settled in here. God darn it. Right there. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Sorry for the bouncing. It takes a minute. Oh, man. Golly darn it. Okay, come on. Come on, Kendall. It'd be worth it. Darn it. Okay. Kendall, if I just stay to the side. Darn it. Okay, so I'm letting you watch the porch, and I'm watching the actual porch with my eyes. I don't really like being out front. It's annoying to them. I don't know these bees. I don't know their temperament, etc. And what I'm trying to see, and maybe I should have been on the other side, pollen. So I'm going to call it when I see it. Gosh. Man. You might be able to see better than I've exploded the camera as much as I can. Pollen coming in. There it is, baby. Pollen. Pollen. Okay, I'm going to give you some tips and lessons. If you stand to the side like I am, become a student of the porch. For that matter, you can get a lawn chair. As long as you hadn't been having an evening toddy, no beer, nothing like that, no alcohol. They can smell that, that irritate them. sit beside, stand or sit. I'll be suited up with gloves. You know, getting stun's kind of annoying. And then they smell the alarm pheromone and get all worked up. It just ruins the moment. So you use your wisdom, sit still beside them. Now I'm seeing pollen come in. But when bees, now watch this, when bees come back and they don't have pollen, what do they have? Nectar. There's pollen. Bees are they're more pollen. Very good. Oh, this is great. Bees are work reward sensitive, and they don't always come back every night. They stay on the road unless it's a bad, nasty storm. They'll stay on the more pollen. They'll stay on the road. They can hunker down under a limb or tree. They can eat on the road too. They'll hit the local McDonald's and grab something to eat until they find a big patch of pollen, big patch of nectar, and then they'll gather up a bunch. They feel like it's worth reporting. They'll come back, report to their sisters, give them a sample of it. More sisters will go out. They'll tell them where it is. Okay, so we've been wet. We got lots of resources, lots of pollen and nectar. More pollen. More nectar coming back than pollen. Bees coming back without pollen and have nectar on them, or in them. Okay. Now, more pollen. Okay, so as you look at that, here's another trick. How do you know, gosh, Kendall, how do you know where the queen's laid up? By looking at the porch. Okay, so if I took this porch, let's make it simple, and divided it in half, like a line that comes out from the middle, from the face, a line comes out the middle. So we're dividing it in half. Excuse me. The half that's closest to us, let's call it quadrant number 1. And the other half would be quadrant number 2. What I do before I smoke and dive into a colony, I will stand to the side, kind of like we're doing, and I want to watch the overall porch. And I'm looking for a quadrant. I will mentally divide the porch in quadrants. So if it's a big box, a 10-frame box on a 10-frame bottom board, and try to divide the quadrants in 3, typically. Here comes a big drone back. Big fat boy. Drones are not committed to the house. They're like bulls. They'll go from colony to colony. Okay, so I divide the quadrants, and then I watch where a majority of the bees are coming into, and the pollen, where's the pollen being brought into. So pollen is associated with eggs and larvae. The eggs and larvae have got to have protein to grow. So where the workers know where the queen's laid up. She'll be laying on a frame in an area, and they're going to bring pollen into that area. So I'll look for the quadrants. In this case, it is quadrant 1 closest to you. Just watch the majority of the bees where they come back. Where's the pollen? Majority of the pollen. Where is it going into? A drone's coming back. This is I get a lawn chair, get my gloves on. I could sit here and watch these girls for hours. You could learn so much just by sitting there and watching how they interact on the porch. So quadrant number 1 is where the bees most of them are coming back to, and they're bringing a lot of nectar there and pollen. There's goes more pollen in. So I would smoke them and say, okay, she's in quadrant number 1. Now this is a 5-frame box. I would smoke the porch and then remove the brick. Raise the lid 1/2 inch, smoke under the lid, and gently put the lid back down. No rush. We're not in a rush. Trying to convince the girls, your pastor's on fire, girls, you might have to leave the house. You better go suck up some honey. So if I give them a few minutes to think like, oh, we are on fire, I can smell that smoke. And they'll start to grab some honey and suck up their abdomens. Suck up honey, their abdomens will swell, and they can't roll so easy to sting me. And the smoke helps mask the chemical pheromones they use to communicate excitement or alarm or whatever. So now I remove the lid, maybe give them a little puff again. I would pull frame number 3 right in the middle, and I'm trying to cut her off from running. I want to pin her against the left wall. So if I'm standing behind the box, the wall closest to us right now would be the left wall. I would pull the middle frame, inspect it very carefully for the queen. And this is where maybe a frame hanger that you can hang on the outside of the box comes in. I probably wouldn't monkey with them on a tree like this because I don't want to break that little stub. They'd be sitting on something solid. But I don't want to just set the frame of bees on the ground. So I'd have to put some kind of frame stand on the right side of the box. Inspect that frame very carefully. Set it down in the frame holder. Then that leaves me frame number 2, which is what she's probably on, frame number 2. And I would go for frame number 2, and if she's going to run, she's going to run to frame 1 because she doesn't want to cross that light. Queens hate light. They love the dark. So in other words, I'm working her against the wall. Pull frame number 3, inspect it really carefully. I don't see her, set it to the side. Frame number 2, she ought to be on. That's just based upon what I see on the porch. If not, frame number 1. If not there, I've missed her. She's got to be on frame 1, 2, or 3. Okay, so why find the queen? Well, I want to make sure she's viable, alive. I want to inspect for eggs and larvae. The bees, I'm watching the bee activity. They come off and on the porch with a purpose. Like they got business they're doing. And they got pollen they're bringing in, a lot of nectar, which I would expect that. And they're probably building lots of wax inside. And I don't know, I don't know what kind of condition the wax is in. In other words, are they giving me crazy combs, angled, sideways, connecting 3 frames, 2 frames? So it does pay to go in on them rather soon. It's your job as a beekeeper to kind of get them going in the right direction. They're going to do what they want. And their minds are like, what's the problem? We're doing it right. This is what we want to do. But if they lay weird, crazy, wacky comb, it makes it very difficult to pull any frames and get any kind of inspection done. So we do want the comb to be fairly straight. When you pull up a frame of bees, these deep frames, it's a long pull, longer than you think. And when I've had students in the field, they always pull up and turn. They lean the frame too soon. About halfway up, they'll start leaning the frame over, and they'll scrape bees on the adjacent frame. We call it rolling. Bees don't like to be rolled. So it's a long, straight pull. We'll get into some bees here before long. Right now with the weather, just from experience, I focus on travel, and it'll start slowing down. This is almost mid-May now. The 12th. It ought to start slowing down. See drones coming back. Drones only mate one time. They'll mate in the air with the queen, a queen somewhere. Mate one time and die. So obviously the boys haven't found the queen they want. They have big bulbous eyes that touch in the middle. They can actually see a queen in flight. They can smell her. She emits a pheromone as she flies through the air, kind of like a cone of pheromone. The drones, have what they call wayposts or drone posts somewhere out in the area. The queen can smell them. The boy bar, and she'll find a boy bar. She'll fly through a waypost area of drones. She'll have a whole passel of drones chase her down, like the hardiest drone that can fly the fastest wins. Well, or dies. Catch her, mate, or die. She may mate several times, 3 or 4 times. Depends. But this right here, this is, as weird as it sounds, this is where you really, really learn. I'm anxious to put an APVOX on them and do some acoustic tests. I'm nervous, excited. Very cool, man. As you learn, you learn as we look at them here. You learn what to look for, what it means, how they react to each other, testing, smelling each other, passing off nectar. Well, like which one's the guard bee? I mean, you decide. There'd be guard bees on the porch, kind of rolling in and out. They kind of like walk their beat, back and forth, in and out, testing, smelling each other. Now, if somebody comes there's pollen coming in. If somebody comes to the porch that doesn't smell right, they'll jump her. But if she's a clever girl, she'll pass off some nectar and pollen to the guard bee and buy her way in. That happens. So bees aren't too monogamous like geese. Don't think of them like geese. The boys are very liberal. Hive to hive, colony to colony, pasture to pasture. I think maybe we'll try to stay here tonight if they let them. Now in August and September, what you'll see is the girls dragging the boys out to die. They don't let them stay in over fall time, winter time. The boys just eat food and contribute no other thing to the colony except mate with another queen. They don't go get nectar. They don't go get pollen. So the girls see them as a cost. And you'll see a bunch of drones, maybe hanging on the front porch or hanging on the side of the box, and you'll go, man, what is that? Well, those are drones. They don't have a home now. They'll just get cold and die. So September, late August, September, that's a pretty common sight. Also too, in September, you could smell a pungent smell, almost like something's dead. You go, what is that, in the apiary? You go, what is that smell? It's goldenrod nectar. Goldenrod pollen and I love fall beekeeping. Goldenrod nectar, goldenrod pollen, and it's pungent. But it does not taste like so much it smells. It tastes good. It's good honey. Goldenrod. I get some bitterweed honey in there. Now bitterweed honey is nasty. That'll make you dance around and spit for a while. That's gross stuff. So in the fall time, we'll have to test each frame to see. We'll just do a simple taste test with our finger, see if there's any bitterweed honey on it. And we'll carve out the good stuff, leave the bad stuff in the cell. Anyway, so right here, what we're doing now, springtime stuff. Be a student of the porch. There's a little booklet I've referred to in some of my newsletters to the advisory students. It's on Amazon. It's a booklet, like $8. I think it's called At the Hive Entrance. Yeah, it's got a picture of an old man sitting down watching a porch at the hive entrance. And it covers different body languages or different flight languages so that you can begin to understand flight language. Yeah. See pollen, mostly nectar. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm a weird person. This is my chill spot. I could get a chair, as long as it's not too hot. Shade. Bring my umbrella. I'll share some tea with the girls. Sit and watch these girls for hours. If you're a baby boomer, you probably remember the little green plastic ant farms. God, I had an ant farm. I'd sit there on my bed and watch those ants for hours and then shake that thing up. Shake it. Now you got to redo it. That was an ornery little boy. Yeah, that. I remember mesmerized by the ants. And remember the old lava lamps? My grandparents used to have a lava lamp on the television. That must be a 60s or 70s thing. God, they make me sit on cross-legged on the floor in front of the TV and watch Batman or something. But that lava lamp, I couldn't watch Batman because I was staring at the lava lamp. That's great stuff, man. Oh, geez, man. If you can, I'll have to review the film. I'm actually watching the actual porch, not the video. So I'm seeing Pollen come into quadrant 1. My bet is she's on frame number 2. So in the past, I've done fun things like this. I have students in the apiary, and I'll be doing my visual inspection of the porch, not telling them what I'm doing. And I'll say, Mitch, I bet you I can find this queen within the first pull. I'll bet you a Mountain Dew. I'd do my thing, and I'd pull the frame I really think she's on, pull it up, and there she is. Man, you see students just mouths hit the floor. They go, how do you do that? You gotta learn. You gotta learn. There's so many people just diving into hives and they don't know what to do, how to do it. That's okay. You just have somebody experienced, seasoned, say, now look, there are some tricks here. And this is one important one. I don't want my students getting so sucked up into finding the queen all the time, every time. No, we don't have to do that. It's dangerous doing that because you can end up killing her accidentally. Of course, I've never done that, right? Yeah, it happens. Happened to me. But I'm looking for evidence of the queen. That's what I want. Evidence of the queen. What's evidence? Eggs. Fresh eggs. Eggs, and only an egg for 3 days. When she lays an egg, it's a vertical the first 24 hours. 48 hours, it leans over 45 degrees. 72 hours or 3 days, it goes on its side. So you can actually age the egg by finding them. And there's a trick to finding them too. Vertical eggs. So if I pull the frame up and gently shake off the bees and quickly see the eggs, you actually got to see them. You got to know what you're looking at. And see vertical eggs, I go, she's in here, she's been laying. Within the past 24 hours, she's been laying eggs. Okay, so how do you find eggs? Here's another one. This is good. I hope this is a good video, man. Let's see if I can. No, that looks pretty good. How do you? Hold on. Sorry. I'm looking at this. Sorry. How do you find the eggs? Okay, here we go. Here we go. So let's say I found the queen. I did my thing just like I taught you. Okay, now I'm going to put her back in. Okay, I'm going to set the frame gentle back in, but maybe it's frame number 4. I'm going to pull. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to pull up frame number 4 because she's not on it. She's on frame 2, and 3 is sitting to the outside. I'm going to shake off the bees of frame number 4, and I'm going to take the tip of the frame bar into my tummy, or what do you call, right there where your xiphoid process is, your bread basket. Push it into your tummy, hinge it. You're going to hinge it. I'm right-handed, so my left hand is going to hold the outside tip, the other end of the frame. I'm pushed into my tummy up high, and I put a magnifying glass to my eye, my right eye. The magnifying glass actually stays over my eye. And I roll the frame into the magnifying glass until I can see clearly, just like a jeweler's loop. That's the trick. You don't hold the magnifying glass out. You can't see well. You hold the magnifying glass to your eye socket and roll the frame in or out until you get a clear picture, and you ought to be able to see a whole passel of eggs real quick. So you ought to be able to find eggs within a minute. Easy. Within a minute. So when we take these frames apart, our sensitivity is temperature. They got to keep all that larva's got to stay about 92 to hatch. So when I have them all apart, they're cooling down. I don't want to do that very long. I want to get them back together so they can warm them back up. Yeah. So I'm going to pull frame number 4, hold the tips of the frame in the palm of my hand real tight, shake off the bees. About 2 shakes, I usually do it. Shake off the bees by holding the frame at an angle of above the box, corner to corner, like box corner to box corner. Never parallel to the other frames or you'll splash bees out and over. So you hold the frame corner to corner of the box. Give it 2 shakes. Take my right hand tip of the frame, push it into my bread basket. Left hand holding it on the outside far end, magnifying glass to my right eye, and roll it up into the magnifying glass. You do have to kind of hold that tip of the frame in your tummy. Needs to be high, kind of like in your breastbone, just below the bottom of the breastbone. Xiphoid process right there. That's my target when I take my frame right to my xiphoid and roll it up to the magnifying glass. And you ought to be able to eat like little miniature pieces of rice. It's easier to do that than it is to always find the queen. Nope, 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 nope. We don't know where this queen came from. Now, here's another tip. I'm standing here. The bees know I'm here. As long as I don't get out in front 10 and 2, I'm on the edge of 10 o'clock. And if I'm not dancing and swinging my arms like a moron, they're like, whatever. I'm not messing with their house. Nobody's thumping me, buzzing me. Nobody's up my jacket. I don't have my jacket tucked in. I didn't bring my gloves. Just a quick film. I wanted to see this is what I wanted to see. Pollen. Temperament is what I'm after. So I'm confident there's a queen in there. The girls are working hard, bringing back lots of resources. Pollen coming in. Now, when I go to work them the first time, my thoughts will be, girls, what's your temperament like? But, here comes the but. I got to let them build up enough brood. And here comes another lesson. I got to let them build up enough brood so that they're properly defensive. Properly defensive. We don't know how defensive. We don't know if they're mild-mannered or they're demon bees or what, we don't know. So here's the principle. You want to even write this down if you're taking notes. Bees are brood sensitive first, then queen sensitive, then honey sensitive. They'll abandon honey easily. They can make a new queen. If they lost their queen, they'll get an egg, put it in a cell, make some queen cells. They'll hatch out a new queen in 16 days. She'll get mated. They'll be back to normal before long. So making a queen's like popcorn. Now they can do that. But if you take away the brood, no, then they really are demons. Brood sensitive first, then queen sensitive, then honey sensitive. They'll abandon honey easily. That's a principle. They don't care about your opinion or my opinion. And they don't care what state they're in. This is, boy, kind of hurts my heart. There's lots of confusion in beekeeping. I operate by the bees, not by somebody's opinion. What's the bee's principle? Whatever it is that we're dealing with. In this case, they're brood sensitive because she's laying, so they're rushing like mad to get wax built. To do that, they need a lot of nectar because they need a lot of carbs to pull out the wax. They need pollen for the eggs and larvae. So they just took this box a few days ago. So she's already laid a passel of eggs. So she'll have a new hatch in just under 21 days. She'll have a new hatch, her first hatch. And when you see, a hatch, when you see a cloud of bees kind of out, I don't want to swing my hands to point, but if you make like an imaginary bubble in front of the hive, let's say the bubble's about 18 inches in circumference, and you see a whole bunch of bees facing, a little cloud of bees facing the box, kind of like floating. Like, what the heck are they doing? That's a new hatch, and they're new bees. They've probably hatched, and they're only a couple of weeks old, so they're trying their new wings. In other words, they don't hatch and come racing out to fly. They got to work up to that. So if I see a whole bunch of cloud of bees in front, that means they've had a hatch in the past couple of weeks. A nurse bee is a nurse bee for 30 days. Then they graduate to field work. So you learn timing elements. These are principles again. Worker hatches in 21 days. Our opinions don't matter. Queen hatches in 16 days. Drone hatches in 23 days. It's pretty hard, fast rules, principles. My feel is here by watching them. My feel is we could have a full box of bees here. I don't know how far back the colony goes into the box. You can't assume it's full until you smoke them and open them up and have a look. Notice how the wind's blowing the tree and bouncing this box around, and they're like, whatever. They could very well be feral bees from a tree out there in the wild. They're like, winds. We've been rocking and rolling for the past couple of years. we don't care about that. Brood sensitive first, then queen sensitive, then honey sensitive, in that order. If you do replace the queen, if you choose to, right about now is a good time to do it. Well, the colony's small. I can tell you she's probably on frame 2. And I could get after frame 2, and if I find her, as long as I have a new fresh queen in my pocket, in the cage is mated, and I know how old she is, and I know her breed, then I could catch this swarm queen, because she's going to be probably 2. She's an old queen. This ought to be her 2nd year. She ought to have a big year this year, but next year she'll get weak. She'll start to weaken. And typically swarms don't swarm every year. They can. But let's say they don't swarm next year and I don't replace the queen. Now I have an old queen going into winter. Oh, that's not so cool. So I'll have to assess them. My point is, if you're going to change a queen, do it when the colony's small. Like this, small. And I catch her in a queen clip. Don't smash her on the comb. We never do that. They would know what you're doing. No, they wouldn't like that. Catch her in a clip, and then I put the clip in a Ziploc bag and zip it shut. Out of sight, out of mind. And put it in my pocket. When I get back to the honey hut, I just set the Ziploc bag on the counter. She'll be expired tomorrow. And then put the dead queen in a little half-pint jar of alcohol. That's your queen pheromone. That's can be an easy swarm lure. Suck the pheromone out of her into the alcohol. Little dab of cotton ball in the alcohol, wipe it on the inside of the box. Alcohol evaporates, leaves the queen pheromone behind. Tricks and tips, a lot of them in this video. Holy cow. Man. Okay, so I got a couple of questions for myself here. The volume of bees, I want to know what kind of volume I have. And then I want to know, do you have a bunch of crazy comb that I'm going to have to deal with? I do want to know that. And let's see. This box in the back doesn't have any venting. In the bottom or the back side, no venting. And when we have nuke boxes like this, the queens, here's another principle, queens are airflow sensitive. Airflow sensitive on their brood. So they tend to lay a tilted forward football shaped pattern. Tilted forward football shaped pattern. In other words, they're not efficient. I'll bring it back. They're not very efficient in their laying of a brood pattern because there's stale dank air in the back and the girls aren't blowing enough air back there. Now, the first 2 years we saw this, and I was befuddled for some time until we began to operate with solar ventilators on the full-size hives, and those queens were laying, some of those queens were laying frame 1 to 10, all brood. It was like crazy wild. Not all of them, but some of them. And normally they would lay frame 2 to 9 in brood, which is not normal. Normally frame 1 and 10 is all honey. Frame 2 and 9 is a mix of honey and pollen. The pantry, honey and pollen on 2 and 9. And then frame 3 to 8 was the brood patterns with ribbons of pollen around the brood and then honey in the corners. That's normal. That's your benchmark. I'm going to say it again. Frame 1 and 10 were all honey. Frame 2 and 9 were a mix of honey and pollen. And frame 3 to 8 was the brood patterns with a ribbon of pollen around the pattern and honey in the corners. It can be different amounts, whatever, but that's your benchmark. And some of these queens are super sensitive to airflow, and they love it, and they'll lay like crazy ladies. And then it dawned on us, well, good Lord, we've got nuke boxes that have no opening in the back, and we changed that on a lot of the boxes, and the whole pattern changed. Now the queens are more efficient on the patterns in the boxes that have ventilation in the back. But I keep some of them like this. They may have picked this box because it is dark back there. I can always change them, but I'm saying that's what they picked. Okay, that time for me to go. All right, we've been dilly-dallying long enough. Hope you learned a lot. If you want to learn even more from us, check out littlecreekbeeranch.com, the personal advisor program. That's our private coaching service, which is very cool. More and more people are finding that, which is good, because we'll get you straightened out. I get strict on principles, and once you line out the principles, you're going to have a whole lot more fun. You're going to be a whole lot less stressed. You'll understand what you're seeing. You'll understand what to do. I'm not trying to be an old ogre. I just love helping people. And there's some crazy questions sometimes, I understand. Go to littlecreekbeeranch.com, look at the personal advisor program, study that pretty carefully. All the details are there. I don't need to just cover it here. If you like our videos, push like and subscribe. Get us a little bit more exposure, trying to get our numbers up. That would help. This is addictive. That's the problem. This is just too addictive. I could sit here and waste my whole day watching these bees trying to guess, like, what are they doing now? And they would ignore me as long as I'm off to the side. You know what's cool? See, I get a book and get my suit and stuff on. I get a book and a chair, my suit and stuff on, and just sit here and read a book next to the bees. Jeez. Oh man, a natural de-stressor. There you go. No alcohol involved. Nope. Oh man. Okay, I gotta go. I hadn't even eaten lunch. I gotta go. I hope you learned something cool, man. You can watch this video again, take some copious notes. Ladies, say goodbye. Well, I got other action up north too. All right, manana. Check you out later. More videos coming. We're just getting started for the year. Have an awesome day.